Guess what, everybody? Another episode of 50 Conversations with 50 Strangers. Wow, is all I have to say. So far in this process, I've had 3 days of non-stop conversations. And the interesting thing to me is when I said to people, hey, I'm here, I'm available to have a conversation with you, I had crickets. Nobody was seemed to want to talk. But there's something, what's the word? Magnetic is the word I was looking for. There's something magnetic about this title, 50 Conversations with 50 Strangers, that's drawing people out of the woodwork. And so for me, I've already learned a big lesson that the way we state anything and the words that we use to communicate what it is we're trying to say are so important to getting the result we want. When I just said before, hey, anybody who wants to have a conversation, I'm here. If you're lonely, if you're down, if you want to just talk, if you want to say something, I want to share your message with the world. Crickets. Nobody said anything. But you put a header on of 50 conversations with 50 strangers, and bam, 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 inundated. I thought it would take 50 days. In my romantic notion, I thought 50 conversations, 50 strangers in 50 days. Well, I'll probably get there in a week and a half because with all the conversations we're having, and then if it feels right, we'll just continue. We'll have 50 more conversations, right? Because why not? And my hope is to create a revolution of conversations of strangers talking to strangers, and to create a support group for people who listen to these things, to meet people who are complete strangers to them, who might be able to help them grow and prosper in the work that they're doing as they can help and grow and prosper the strangers that we're meeting. So what could be a better way to do that than bringing to you Alex Beekley? Now, when Alex Beekley signed up originally, like remember, I have no idea who these people are. When Alex Beekley signed up, I didn't know if Alex was a male or a female. I didn't know if she was a man or a woman. I didn't know if she was a child or an adult. And so imagine my beautiful wonder and surprise when Alex Beekley showed up in front of me. And you can feel from the smile in her face how just warm and the minute you meet somebody, it's going to go great. So, Alex, I want to just say welcome to 50 Conversations with 50 Strangers. I want to thank you for signing up, and I am looking forward to getting to know you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm really excited about this just because I love your message and your idea that, just putting people together who don't know each other and learning from each other, because that's the best way you can really network, get to know new people. Everyone started out as strangers in the beginning, so I'm just honored to be on here and excited to share my story and get to know you a little bit more too.
It is absolutely my honor. So, because I know nothing about you, I can't introduce you, unfortunately. And I hate to have to put that back on you because when I do a normal podcast, I know everything and I say this is who they are and I put all the accolades. But you're a stranger, so I don't have any idea. So, will you tell us who you are and what's important to you?
Yeah, of course. So my name is Alex Beekley. I live in Utah and I just graduated high school. So I turned 18 about a couple months ago, right when I graduated. And in the fall, I will actually be starting at the University of Utah to major in entrepreneurship. I've always loved business. I didn't actually really understand it or know it until about a year and a half ago when just they decided to blow up in my face a little bit more. But I have a passion for helping people, and with business, I'm able to do that and provide so much value with people. Even though I started a business a couple of months ago when COVID was just started and we had to stay home. And it was interesting to see that development and be able to meet new people and just put all this together, create as much value as I possibly can, and just learn. I love learning and just meeting new people. So I'm new, I'm young, and I don't care. So I'm excited to just go forward with it.
I think the most valuable asset we have in society is new and young and people. I don't think you don't just care. I think you do care a lot, actually, because that's the feeling that I get from you. But I know you don't care if people think you're young and whatever. I get that part of it. But I can feel already you care a lot. So two things emerged from what you already told me that they were lobbed over the net that I just have to ask about. First of all, what blew up in your face? And second of all, you can answer in any order you want. What is this business that you started that you're just getting going, which is so exciting?
Yeah. So about a year and a half ago, uh, I I was on my 17th birthday, and I realized in a year I was going to be an adult. And I don't know why, up to that point, I never really realized what that it took. But I started on my 17th birthday, everything was pretty good. My family moved a lot when I was younger, and we actually moved on my birthday because we had to go along with the leases and that kind of thing. But I was used to it. So, moving boxes and getting all that stuff into our new house, which is the same house I'm in right now. But um, it was kind of an interesting day, and I remember I was exhausted at the end of the day. My parents brought me the cake, and I was just excited to wish for something new. And but at that point, it hit me that in a year I had to make a decision and pretty much figure out my whole life, and I hated that. I didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
So what I usually do in those situations, I sit down and I evaluate what's important to me. I was like, okay, I'm ambitious. I want to do something different than what everyone else is doing. Everyone else just goes to college, gets a job, do it for 50 years, gets a pension, and then dies. And I was like, I
Yeah.
want more from that. So I was like, okay, you know what? Anyone who's listening, just give me something. Just show my potential. Give me this opportunity, and I will just go full in with it. So a few days later, I was helping my mom unbox all the boxes we just, brought into our new house, and she brought out this book. And she actually had it for like 5 or 6 years, and she never really got into it because it talked about concepts that she went over her head because it was just really, really new and really advanced for the time that it came out. So she kind of knew I was looking for an opportunity, kind of getting into business a little bit, but she said, you might want to read this book. And I was like, it's an education book. I don't want to read it. But I was like, you know what? This might be my opportunity. This might be that one answer. So in 24 hours, I read the whole book, and it pretty much changed my life and the views of how I saw the world. And it was a simple book. It's written by Russell Brunson. It was the dot-com secret, so his first book. And just the way that he explained how business works and the systems that he puts into providing value for people, creating an offer, getting people in, creating stories, it really resonated with me. So at that point, I was like, you know what, we're just going to go full in with business. So I talked to my counselor. I got into a specific business leadership program. And for half of the morning, instead of going to classes, I went to this program and learned pretty much a bunch of leadership skills. I got to be in charge of a project. I was able to just fulfill my potential and show like, oh, I can do what I want to do, and I can just jump into something, be flexible, and try new things. So that was kind of the thing that blew up in my face, just realizing that I didn't want to be like anyone else or everyone else, and just being able to figure that out and then just be open to new opportunities. But the second question, the business. So
I forgot the second question until I said, then I remembered it. Okay, but great answer to the first question. I love that. And just for our listeners, before we go to the second question, for our listeners, look at the power of resistance. Because when her mom showed her that book and she thought, I don't want to read this book, which is the first thing a lot of us say to some things, that when opportunities come right before us, we say, I don't want to do that. But then she said, okay, it was given to me. Maybe I'll take a look at it. Read it within 24 hours, and now it's setting the framework for the life she's about to live. I don't want you to miss the nuggets of what Alex just shared with you. And I want you to ask yourself, how many times is life giving you something right in front of you that you're resisting that could become the framework for the rest of your life? Okay, question two.
that was said perfectly, by the way. I couldn't have said it any better. But
You did say it better. I just encapsulate.
but so through that class, I was able to like do a project and just figure out where I'm good at becoming a leader. Because before, I feel like I was assertive. Like I'm short and I look young, so people don't really take me seriously. So I felt like I had to just assert myself, be that bossy person. And I realized that's not the best way to go about creating a team or just making that first impression. So I loved learning to be a leader, helping other people discover their potential and just running with them instead of dragging them with me. So
Yes.
that's been a great experience. So like I said, like when COVID came, it was like actually came like right around my birthday again. So it was my 18th birthday. Everything happens on my birthday.
You got great birthdays, girl.
Yeah, but like COVID happened on my like around my birthday, and I was thinking about starting a business, but I didn't know like what industry, how I was gonna do it, all the questions you ask yourself. But then I thought again, I was like, you know what? If I just keep asking questions, I might find an answer. But if I don't take action now, then nothing will happen. So I just sat down and just thought about all the opportunities and all the people that I've met so far. Like, what could I build from that? So since like last December to like around the time that we stopped meeting other people, I was subbing for my mom a lot to go to her BNI meetings. And I met a lot of great people there, and I got to network as well. And I remember one person who
So BNI meetings, just for people who don't know, are breakfast meetings where local business people come together to share resources and contacts and say, like, if you're a plumber and I'm a carpenter, and a carpenter will recommend the plumber and the plumber will recommend the carpenter, and people help each other build their networks of business. Am I correct?
yeah, that's
Okay.
exactly it.
Okay.
So yeah, so she sometimes couldn't make them, so I would sub in and just be that person to get the information. And she wanted me to network as well, so that was a good kind of swap that way as well. But I remember one person I met, he was making promotional items, and he does like graphic t-shirts. He actually does really cool designs, and I got to meet him and got to get like a cool t-shirt, so that was fun. But I remembered seeing I was thinking about all the people that I met, and I remember seeing a post that he made that he was making new face masks. Like, he was making them different than anyone else. It wasn't specifically medical grade, but they were safe enough that would protect at least other people from attracting the virus.
Right.
So, and he was making them like, it intrigued me because the design was so unique, and he would just you could print any type of design on it as long as it was like a vector image that he could just print on there easily. So I saw he was doing that, and I contacted him and asked him if he needed someone to like promote this, because I went on his website and it had great, awesome products, and it had the face mask and all that stuff, but it was like it was from a person who's like grown up with social media, it kind of looked like it needed some work.
Right.
So I was just like, I could be that person. I can create a website. I can promote. And he said, okay. So I just, it kind of started out as a project where I was like, okay, I'm just going to learn as much as I can and see where it goes. So I created a website that took for like 2 weeks because I was like perfectionist about it. I hired a graphic design just to make specific designs that people could get, and then created a way for people to customize it if they wanted to do that. And I started to market on Facebook ads, so I kind of learned how to do that. In the process, I learned kind of how to read code, not exactly write it, but I learned how to read it, fix it in my Shopify account, so if I needed to in the future, I could. And I learned all of these different skills, and it was kind of hectic at first because it was so much. I was doing literally everything for it, but it was a great experience. And I don't think if I was allowing myself to network as well, and then also allow myself to learn little skills here and there, I probably wouldn't have been able to actually make it into a business. So now I also do that. And right now I'm trying to pivot into providing more services specifically for businesses, because that's kind of where I saw I could provide the most value, instead of individual consumers to businesses where they could get masks, protect their employees or their customers, and then provide brand awareness as well. So that was really awesome. I could do that and just network and meet with people. And right now I'm just trying to do as many projects as I can before the summer ends and I have to start school, but I'm doing different things like digital marketing. I'm working with a company for this big finance company to just learn how to market campaigns effectively. I'm learning how to create funnels to attract people, get the right traffic, make an offer, create funnels, like what I actually learned from Russell Brunson. I did his 1 funnel away challenge, and that was really awesome. I actually finished like 2 weeks ago, and I learned a lot from that. Was able to create different offers. I'm still trying to get the wording correct so that, it's that one thing that just starts working. And then hopefully I can use that to bring capital into my actual business, create services for businesses, and provide as much value as I can. So that's kind of the last couple of months in a nutshell.
Wow. So if anybody is listening who needs a young, sharp, talented woman to help them develop some of the things that are going on, she's not limited by what she's done. That's just what she's learned so far. What I always believed in creating business is you don't hire positions, you hire people. And when you find people that are go-getters and people that are strong and people that are inquisitive and people that will not stop asking questions, you find people that can do just about anything. So why not? What could be stranger than meeting a stranger and having a stranger start to work with you in a way that might help you grow and prosper each other? How beautiful could that be? All right, segue a little bit. Let's go into a rapid lightning round, okay?
Okay.
Are you a dog person or a cat person?
Dog person.
Okay. Do you drink coffee or tea?
Tea.
Do you consider yourself to be someone who is in the box or out of the box?
Out of the box, but I like in the box strategies.
Okay, look at that. I love that. Uh, do you believe it's more important to speak your mind or to listen to other people and give them the platform to speak their mind?
Listen to other people. Other people have way more interesting topics to talk about.
Fabulous. Do you believe you fit into the world or have you always felt different?
I've always felt different.
Okay. Are you a person that leads with your head or with your heart?
Definitely, I've learned to lead with my heart.
And would you say you're a leader or a follower?
I believe that everyone is both at some point, depending on the situation. But I would say I would be honored to be a leader for other people.
Okay. And let me subset that question because when I wrote it initially, I just thought it'd be interesting to know how people think of themselves. But most of the time, people say they're leaders. But in our country right now, there's so much chaos going on. There's political chaos. There's race chaos. There's there's sexuality chaos. It started some years ago with Me Too, and we thought that was the big thing, and it was certainly a big thing. Big executives lost their positions, and things, and men were doing stuff to women that was just atrocious. But they had been brought up that way, so it was in the culture to do that. Um, then there was COVID. Then there was this disease that came, this invisible disease that came that sort of segued us and isolated us. And then there became the Black Lives Matter movement and the thought that Black people haven't been treated well enough. And then there's the political contest that's going on. And what I watch when I look in the world is I see people are siloed in certain positions, like the Republicans are the Republicans and the Democrats are the Democrats. And these people like Trump and these people don't like Trump. And I'm fine with whoever people decide they want to be. But when I ask, are you a leader or a follower? What I think I'm really was wanting to ask is when you watch those people that you silo with and you feel like they might be doing something wrong, do you have the courage to stand up into the face of what seems like it's wrong and say, I don't believe in this, and I'm going to pledge my leadership to say this is not the way I want to see this work, or this is not the way I believe this is going to work. And that could be either, like, the easiest example is people who are pro-Trump or people that are anti-Trump, right? So Trump, bless his heart, has done amazing things for our country and has done some terrible things for our country. But the people that stand in his camp defend him wholeheartedly. Democrats who stand against him defend themselves wholeheartedly. They don't give the guy a break by saying, you did do some good things, and nobody breaks from that. So people are, even though these are our leaders, they are really followers into a mass consciousness. Do you believe you have the potential, or do you believe you can have the power to stand up against a mass consciousness and stand for what you believe is right?
I believe a lot of people who have become leaders that are so influential have power to give their opinion and have people support it wholeheartedly, like you said. I think it takes a lot of things that go into that. I actually talked with someone this morning, and she explained it pretty well. I think it would just kind of clarify, I guess, what your question is. But um, with I'm trying to word it correctly, I guess, when it comes to trying to get that power and to provide your perspective, because everyone deserves to say their have their story, have their perspective said, but it takes either money, power, all of those things that people see as greedy, or they're for specific people that are in, you know, that 1% of the world. Those people are actually the ones that, you know, influence things, whether it's good or bad. And to have the courage to silently move towards that and become the head of that, someone who's influential, it takes a lot of time to do that. But I feel like if you have the courage to say, to step back, be silent, and hustle during that point until you can actually get the following and get the power, either money or just straight power, to relay your perspective, I think that will provide other people strength in you and show your actual character. Because the people who broadcast and just, you know, say, oh, my opinion matters, here's, you know, that's can be good to a point. But when you're just being loud, outwardly saying your opinion and not really seeing the effects of it, I think that is when a leader can happen. But that's when you get the ones that promote, you know, negative connotations and negative situations. So I think when it comes to, if you ask a question, if you think that I'm a leader or not, I would love to. I feel like I would be one who could do that, but I'm willing to step aside, let other people take that job if the situation provides for it, and you know, just learn in the process. Because there's times when you need to be the leader, but there's times when other people can do it better than you can, and it just takes, you know, taking down your pride and just letting other people do it, and they'll probably do it better than you. So
Love it. Great answer, by the way. One of the things that I am trying to create is a revolution of listening. And one of the things that I want to see is that we've lived in a vertical reality for a long time, where people lead, where fixers fix, where self-help people help, where governments rule, where teachers teach. And I wrote this book called The Mosaic, which is a story about a boy who loses his parents, and it's a fable. And it really isn't. It only tangentially says this point that I'm going to make. But the image of a mosaic is a horizontal image. It's not a vertical image. No pieces are bigger or teach each other piece. What they do is they simply come together, and in coming together, they become strong. And there is no one voice that needs to lead, because it's the voice of everyone together that starts to get heard. And the more powerful the mosaic is it becomes more powerful by having diverse voices be a part of that. When we silo in our silos of like-mindedness, what we end up doing is thinking only what everybody else like us thinks. When innovation in a business, in a country, in a family, comes when we have diverse things, where we see new ideas and we embrace those new ideas and understand them and give them a chance to be expressed without immediately chopping them down because they're not what we believe. And I see a country now in desperate desire to have innovation. I see a time that's being given to us that's asking us, can you innovate now as a nation? And can you do this by listening to each other, by sitting with each other, by taking all the pieces, no matter what they say, and creating this beautiful mosaic that's stronger than each of your individual pieces? What do you think about that?
I think you're on point. Like you said, in our country, we're divided to a point where it's just, if one person says something and the other person doesn't agree, that's where violence comes from. So
Yeah.
it's scary to see that, just how people have become so close-minded and aren't willing to hear other people's perspectives, even if it's something that they don't believe in or they think is wrong. that doesn't mean that they're actually wrong, because you can't actually prove what's right or wrong. It's
Right.
all subjective, and it's all based off of what our society tells us what's right and wrong. So I think, like you said, if we create environments where instead of you just have the congregations of people who agree in the same thing, that's not you, that's kind of where closed-minded people come from, because they're surrounded by people who have the same ideas, and that's great, but there's no innovation, there's no progress that comes from that. So I think you're just right on point, where we need people to come together. And that's especially in business, you see that if you have a team that every single person is an expert in something, no one really agrees or has the same skill levels, but with that diversity in a team, you can build something amazing. And I was able to kind of see that firsthand when I did my first project, but it's so awesome to see what can happen when people are willing to, provide their beliefs, their values, their skills, and have other people accept that, and also be like, hey, okay, this is my view, it's a little different, but then you create other things from that. So yeah, I think I completely agree with what you say.
I love that, not only because you agree with me, but because these are the voices of the future. Yours is the voice that will build the future of what America is and what the world is. And we need to sort of uh, modify the systems that aren't working. Buckminster Fuller said, you can't solve the problems of today with the thinking of today. We have to create new models of society that make the old models obsolete. And it feels to me like our world is desperately asking for a new model of operation. And the reason we're fighting is because we're holding on to this old model, because it gives us power, it gives us sustenance, it gives us a certain, and we don't know what the new model, we're scared to death of what the new model would look like. But it's people like yourself, the next generation and the generations that will follow, that will be the harbingers of the new model of what civilization can look like. So as you build in your leadership, as you build in your idea of what leadership is, learn from the past, but don't be stuck in the teachings of the past, because the future holds a new model for us. And I really invite you to walk into that new model and understand it. Okay. Do you think people are more similar than they are different, or more different than they are similar?
I think everyone's different. I just based off of like either even on the outside, everyone's different. Everyone has different ways that they look, see the world, different perspectives. Um, yeah, I think everyone's just different in their own way. It's not just like the ideology that we grow up with. It's like everyone's unique, everyone's special. Yeah, that's true. But I think we are born that way for a reason to, like you said, create diversity. Because if everyone was the same, if we're all clones, and if we had like a specific virus or something that just killed one of us, we would all just die off. And
Yeah.
that's not how, you know, evolution works. So I think
I
we're all different for a reason. So
I love that perspective, because I think the opposite. I think as much as we're different on the outside, we're all so similar on the inside. We all get, if our children get hurt, we all feel pain. For the things that are really important, I think we're so similar, and yet we divide ourselves by the outside differences. But I love your perspective, because I believe also we are all different, like you said, and it's for a reason. Do you believe you have a purpose in the world?
yes, I don't know why, but ever since I was young, I knew I was just born to do something. I don't know what that is yet still, but that's kind of just my motivation that's been driving me throughout my life. It's like, okay, I have a mission. I'm here for a reason. I think it's for something big. I don't know what it is, but I believe in the process that I'm going through. So like everything that I've gone through, you know, throughout my childhood, all the struggles that I've been, challenges, obstacles, successes, I think those all have built something within me that will provide me the strength to do whatever that is. So like I'm always open for new challenges, new, growing myself, because when we're uncomfortable, that's when we can learn the most. So yeah, you can say I'm confident or have a big ego, whatever. But I believe a lot of people have that. They just don't have the the belief in themselves that they actually do have a mission, or they have something that they're supposed to be doing while they're alive. So
What what makes you happy?
um being alive, I guess,
I
and
love that.
my family. I've always um it took me a while to realize how special life is, but knowing that, you know, there could be tomorrow, and every time I wake up there is, it's like a new chance to do something new, to create change, to make someone happy, even if it's telling a family member I love them, or making someone's day, doing something kind. If there was just like, if there's one person that remembers me, then I'm happy.
Yeah. What a beautiful way to live. And for people listening again, like, what would happen if you just made one person happy today? What, how might that change the world? How might that change your business? How might that change your family? How might that change your love relationship? How might that change your health? How might everything change if you were to just do that? You spoke about listening to people and how important that was. And I love that. I want to start a revolution of listening. So you can only imagine how much I love that. Do you believe that other things in the world speak to us? Do you believe like the environment is speaking to us? Do you believe that our businesses can speak to us? Do you believe that um, problems can speak to us?
I like that terminology. I never thought of it that way, but I think um, I think there's external forces. I think that's what it's called, like forces or voices that guide us or speak to us, whatever way you want to visualize that. But I think there definitely is. I think a lot of times you could go with different philosophical ideas, like the environment, or you have a destiny and it's guiding you towards what you're supposed to be doing. So like, even if you fail, or if you did something and you regret it, that was for a purpose, and
Yeah.
you just keep going with it. Or you could say that, the environment is against you, mother nature is against humans who are basically destroying the earth. But um I think it could go either way, and I think there are different things. I think your life is dictated based on how you outwardly put out your energy. So, for example, if you are negative all the time and you have that just complete negative aura going on, I think your life will seem like everyone's out to get you. It's horrible, that kind of thing. But if you allow yourself to be positively, like, love yourself, have self respect, and then also be kind to everyone else, I think the environment, the universe will thank you for that, and you will see that your life can be fruitful and have amazing things that you deserve. So I think it
Love it.
just depends on how you are projected in the world.
So when you look at the situations that are going on in our common day world, in our current events that are happening now in the world today, do you think the world is trying to say something to us as people?
I think it is. I think um, I've kind of been reading different things about it, and I can't remember who said it, but they explain it perfectly. Where the only well, there's a lot of times when, growth happens. Like I said, it's an uncomfortable situation. Change only comes from something that, something has to radically change, and it makes people uncomfortable. It can hurt, it can be painful, but what comes out of that is something much better and bigger than, holding on to the past, like you said, or holding on to something that can't grow or you can't develop that way. So I think what's happening in the world, I think it's good in a way where we are seeing our faults, we are trying to reverse them, and also just trying to grow as a society. And then I don't know, maybe it is the environment just putting out like the virus to just slow down what we're doing.
Yeah.
But I think either way, I think both of the outcomes provide, or both of the situations that have been going on, they have positive outcomes with the bad outcomes. If you just, the way you look at it, I think that's how you can see moving it forward.
Something, when I wrote the book, The Mosaic, something really changed in me, because what I was doing is I was basically writing a fableized version of my story. about a boy who loses his parents. I lost my parents both 2 years apart on the same day, on July 4th, when I was 13 and when I was 15. And so I started to write the story of really my story of what was going on. And the characters that I wrote were based on characters that I met in my life and things that actually happened. But it's a fableized version, so there's some liberties that I took in it. And I thought it would take a very little time to write. But 3 years later, I was pulling out my hair because I couldn't believe how I would write something and then my computer would erase it, or I couldn't find it, or it would corrupt the file, or it just didn't seem like it was. Like in the evening when I went to sleep, I thought this is great, and when I woke up in the morning, it was like terrible, and it just kept going on and on with every one of the characters. And finally, I just said to the book, "Is there something you're trying to tell me? Like, why aren't you letting this happen? It seems like it's such an easy process. What am I doing that you don't like?" And one by one, the characters in my book came on a screen, just like we're having here on a Zoom call. Well, imagine the characters all on the Zoom call and listen to me say what they say. Now, our conversation could be a figment of my imagination. Maybe it is, but it seems like it's real. That could have been a figment of my imagination, but it seemed like it was real. And so I said to them, "What is it you're trying to say?" And each one of them went through what I was depicting them as saying and said to me, essentially, "I don't want to say what you're saying here that I say. That's not what I would say. I want you to just listen to what I'm telling you to say and just write that." When I did that, within 6 weeks, the book was finished. And it had taken me 3 years. So that led me to sort of believe, if a book of fictitious characters that I made up could come and speak to me, what could the world be saying? What could my body be trying to tell me? What could my business be trying to say to me? What could the environment be trying to say? And I think when we start to learn to listen, what could the divine be trying to say to me? We start to hear the voice of something much bigger, that is very ordained and very exact and very righteous and very real, that we just couldn't hear before because we were in the way. So I would like to invite you to at least take that for a minute and throw it away if it doesn't make sense. But if it makes sense, sort of feel through a little bit and see what in life what is your purpose trying to say to you? What would it want you to hear if you could hear why you came here? What would it tell you? It's just an interesting way of asking questions. All right, we're coming to the end. This is your platform now. You have the space now to speak whatever it is you want to say to the world in a non-threatening, in a non-judgmental, in a completely receptive environment. What would you like to tell this world?
I think we talked about it a little bit before, where we all have a purpose, we all have a mission, and what Danny said, take that time to really just find yourself. Because when we are okay with ourselves and can be respectful, have self-love, and just figure out what we are inside, I think that will allow us to be open-minded and be able to be receptive of other people. I kind of talked about it today a little bit in my own podcast, but judgments and assumptions come from, you know, just not being okay with ourselves. So of we assume of others based on just what we think that they are. So if you have a bully in your life and they're continuously bullying you, and you really hate them and dislike them that way, but you don't know what's behind the scenes. That person could be going through a horrible mental illness or abuse at home, anything, but you don't know that because you don't know the person, and you shouldn't have that. You shouldn't be able to judge them from that. So I would just say, be kind to people. Take the time to know them before you make an assumption. But even so, try not to put out that energy, because when we start to, even if we know someone, create judgments about them, that just puts out a negative energy in the world. And I think we have way too much of that right now. So, and you could not listen to me because I'm just 18 years old and I probably don't know what I'm talking about, but I feel like I do, to a point where I haven't been in the world enough, and I haven't been corrupted or been fed so much information that I don't know myself. I don't know what is out in the world, but I think that's to an advantage. I haven't been exposed to the same things that people who have been in the world for 40 plus years. And I think that provides me a chance to look at something and be open minded about it and provide an actual uh, representation and what a valid perspective instead of being biased about something else. So just, I'd say, be kind, open minded, and have be open about opportunities. So take me as a testimonial. I was like, I didn't want to read that book, but I just decided that, you know what, I'll do it, see what happens. And that literally changed my life a year and a half ago. So just do it and be open-minded and just don't judge other people.
Love it. Alex, if people want to get in touch with you, is there a way they can get in touch with you?
Yeah. So I'm on literally every social platform that there is. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube. I have a podcast on Anchor. So if you just look up my name, Alexandra Beekley, I put the full name on there. Facebook is Xandra Beekley, because they wouldn't let me change my name because they only let you do that every 60 days. So that was a mistake 15 days ago. So
Okay.
that's on there. My podcast is Entrepreneurship Decoded. I kind of do the same thing here. I talk to people, hear their stories, and learn from them. So I'd love to do that. My company is called Meilleure Vie Rosie. It's French for the best Rosie life, and that's pretty much meilleureVieRosie.com. MEILLEUREVIEROSIE.
I'm going to ask you to send me all those links, and I'll put them in the show notes of these things so that people can have it. And I also need a headshot of you so that we can put that on the as well. For those of you who are listening, first of all, thank you, Alex, for being here with us. Thank you for those of you who are listening for coming and listening to these. I'm finding such beautiful comments that people are making, that they're just enjoying these conversations, and even if they're not the ones that are in them, they're just enjoying listening to them because there's something very real and raw. And when two strangers come together who don't know each other, and what we're finding in over and over and over and over and over again is that when we give each other the space to say what we feel, there's not disagreements. There's acceptance. There's understanding. There's this beautiful way of being able to live our lives where we're enriched by the points of view of other people, even if we don't agree with them. There are other perspectives that shine on the same thing that we're looking at in a different way. I believe in a world where everything is possible. The only reason why it's not possible at the moment is we don't see a way to make it possible. So as long as we keep hanging out with the same people who see the world the same way we are, we may never find another way of seeing the world which allows us to make the impossible possible. But when we come together with people of unlike mind, when we come together with people who see the world differently than us, when we take our one perspective, our 1% of what we see, and we bring in the other 359 percentages of how to see the world, we get a texture to what we see and a vibrancy to what we see that is so much richer than the one little perspective we have. So I invite you, all of you, to listen to these conversations. If you like this, please share it with other people, share it with your friends, share it on your website, share it on your social media. And more than that, have a conversation with someone you don't know. The greatest, richest thing that can happen is that you'll meet somebody you don't know and you'll learn from them something totally different. And be they young or be they old. Alex is beautifully young. I'm beautifully old. And in between, but that doesn't mean we don't communicate. Her youth is her glory. My age is my badge of honor. And so when the youth of glory meets the badge of honor of age, what a beautiful harmony there can be. Don't let anything get in the way. Just come together. Stranger things have happened than strangers coming together and speaking. I want to thank you again, Alex, for being here. I want to thank you who come and listen for listening. Again, please share these conversations. Please enjoy them. It's really the gift of my heart to have them with you. And if there were 1,000 other people doing 50 conversations with 50 strangers, what a beautiful world we would live in. Maybe it'll grow to 1,000,000 of us. Maybe it'll grow to 10 million. Maybe it'll grow to 100 million. Maybe it'll grow to 1 billion. 1 billion people having conversations with strangers. Pretty soon, all of us would meet someone we never met before. How cool would that be? Okay, until next version, until next edition, stay connected, stay happy, and don't be too strange. Ciao.